There we go. Izzy Waters, everyone. Yay!
Okay, hello. Can you see me?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, welcome everyone to the show. This is going to be really weird. We haven't done this many times, as you can probably tell by the huge tech interlude before the show starts. I'm currently in my closet, in my cupboard, because it feels like it gives a kind of apocalyptic atmosphere. I've lit some candles, which might be a really bad idea. So if I might catch fire, or my clothes might catch fire at some point during this. So it's gravy time. So this also has to be 40 minutes long, so it might just cut out or something might happen. It's probably fine. We also might lag, but it's not like comedy needs any timing or anything, so it's probably fine. Okay. So stand-up is an interesting medium to try and do through this, because it's one that definitely immediately falls apart without an audience. It really seems more like a breakdown, and so I sort of wanted to emphasize that with the cupboard. Also, I don't want my dad to hear me, like my dad's never seen me do stand-up, and so I didn't think this would be the best introduction for him to just hear me do stand-up alone in a room to no laughter. Okay, so I'm gonna go and look at some of the things I wrote down. Okay, coronavirus is kind of crazy. This is me trying to do topical content. It's a difficult coronavirus. I kind of feel like people are overreacting. You can't even lick an old person's face anymore without people giving you weird looks. That's sad. It's a difficult time if you're sort of living with people. There's like a temptation to, kind of get irritated by your family members, and sometimes you want to kill them. But don't kill your family members. But if you are going to, this is a time where the consequences for doing that are considerably lower than they would be. So that's something to think about. I've been keeping myself busy during this time. It's important to keep yourself busy. So I've been, last week, I cut up all of my clothes and then I stitched them back together again, but in the wrong order. So that took some time. I've been spending some time contemplating death. That was good. I took some cocaine. I read a book. It made me read the book much faster, so that was good. I counted how many hundreds of thousands there were in a jar of hundreds of thousands to see if there were in fact hundreds of thousands. That took up a good couple of hours. And I pretended to my dad that I forgot who he was, so that I wasn't stressed by that.
No.
And it's frozen. Hold on.
Yeah.
Come on.
That's great.
And we're kind of
Iceberg number one.
pausing. This is taking a long pause. This is back.
It says my internet connection is unstable.
You're back.
My
you're
emotional
back.
state.
Good.
Okay, cool. Oh, I've just seen Kishan. Hello, Kishan. Okay.
My hand doesn't come up.
You're not on the screen at the
So we're
moment.
up to deal with the coronavirus. I don't know if you heard me. This is such a weird level of audience participation. Kishan, what have you been up to deal with the coronavirus?
Nothing, apparently.
I can't tell if Kishan is deliberately saying nothing or if he's frozen.
Yo, he's got a green screen of himself.
Wow, yeah.
I'm going to make that bigger for the
Very
That's just his house. It's just a wall in his house that he's painted with.
Very expensive cardboard.
Yeah, this is.
I also don't often do gigs where I know the names of all of the audience members. Looking good. I think I prefer the new hair. What have you been up to sort out to beat the coronavirus, please?
Well, I was part of an open mic night just 10 minutes ago.
How did
and
that
then
go?
someone came on and shared child porn.
What? Are you joking?
No.
Are you're joking, Gustin?
No.
Are you actually not joking?
No.
What?
No.
That's
Yeah,
insane! Oh my god!
I don't think we should do this.
Why? In case someone Kishan, was it you who shared the child pornography? And are you here to do it again?
I left to go to this one and
share more.
Then it got
Whoever
shut down.
smelt it dealt it, mate.
I also love that you cited the open mic as the thing you're doing to help coronavirus when you work in a pharmacy.
That's.
I also love that you then
shared
the child porn story in this comedy medium. So that's quite an interesting moral thing to deal with. That's insane. I mean, wow, that's intense. Well, I mean, I can promise whoever's watching that we're not going to share any child pornography.
That's the other thing. I'm on the YouTube and it's not working.
Is the YouTube thing not working at all? It's fine. Freddie's recording it. We'll have this recorded. Or it would just be a really weird conversation that we all had. So we'll see how that goes.
This could just be a conversation that we rehab next week. Rehab.
Okay, we just write down everything we have. Okay, I'm worried I'm going to run out of time, so I'm going to introduce the first act. Sorry. So I'll introduce the first act. She's a great comedian. She's dressed up as a priest on multiple occasions. It's Chloe Foden. Woo!
Hello, I want to say hello YouTube, but I don't think YouTube's working at this point. Hello everyone on this chat. I got some exciting news recently. I'm a grandma now. I mean, like, I mean, I've got no grandkids. I just judge people's fashion now. So, like, have you seen the sun? The sun is starting to come out a bit more now. And have you seen those things that girls are going around in? Are they boob tubes? Like lube fruits or something? I don't know what they are. But like, you have like your stomach on show, your shoulders on show, your thighs on show. It's like it's now fashion to tan like Where's Wally? But the thing that makes me angrier is, you know, those jeans that cut off above the ankle. Like, what is that? It looks like you just haven't bought a pair of jeans since you were 14. It's like only now in 2020 are we moving past Victorian ideals. It's like, oh, look at me showing a bit of ankle, so scandalous. Do I look sexy? No, you look like you've stuck your feet on with Lego. I've also learned that I'm a grandma for another reason recently. During this lockdown, I've kind of found a new hobby. Like, it's not knitting or baking or racism. It turns out I've started watching 70s porn. It does the job, but that's not why I watch it. I realised I watch it because when I watch it, I feel like I'm appreciating culture. Like, you know that feeling you get when you watch Taxi Driver and you're like, yeah, I'm edgy. I can appreciate good art. What I'm basically saying is I'm watching it for like camera angles and the I'm watching it and I'm like, what is this song in the background? Is it Led Zeppelin? Oh, I like his jeans. What I've also learned is the dialogue. They do full movies as well. The dialogue is brilliant. It's not staged in a Warwick comedy sketch. It's great. I was watching one last week called The Sectors. Right, this one, the guy in it made a joke. I've never heard of a joke in a porn movie before. It was a really funny joke. The guy shouts to the woman, "I only read new orgasms so you can have a moan." Now, not only does that have some of the classic sexism that I'd expect from the 70s, but also the wordplay there is better than anything that I, as a stand-up comedian, would ever write before. What I'm basically saying is I find it really entertaining, and if I ever ask you if you've seen Jaws, you haven't seen the version of Jaws that I have seen. I had to stop watching 70s porn recently because I had a very awkward moment last night where I was watching it and I thought, oh, my dad had that haircut. I've also been using this lockdown, or as I call it, how Bin Laden lived for a decade, to solve Brexit. And I think I've had an idea of how we can solve Brexit. So what we need is something like universal. So the Spice Girls said it was going to be a universal groove. Uriah Heep said there was universal wheels. Well, yeah, Buddha also said there was a universal wheel, but I thought, who's going to know who Buddha is? So, pop culture instead. Not that your eye needs pop culture, it's only pop culture if you were born in 1982. Anyway, the point is, I think I figured out how we solve Brexit with something universal, and it's the Minions. Because the Minions sound the same in every language. Every language, the Minions sound the same. Sounds like you've given the Teletubbies acid and told them that the baby in the sun is God. That is pop culture. That is pop culture. But I didn't realise that Star Wars Episode 4 came out in the 70s. I didn't know this. But I always thought Star Wars would have been so much better if it was set in, like, Somerset. So I can just imagine, like, Luke, I am your father, but I'm also your cousin. But I think movies, for me anyway, were a lot better in the 70s. But I also think the way we watched movies was a lot better in the 70s. Like, you actually stayed to watch the credits. Now it's like, bam, reality's a bitch. Leave, quickly get out, the less it hurts. It's also kind of true of when you've died at a stand-up gig, so that's it.
Okay, woo! Party voting, everyone! Woo!
Yay!
Includes unlimited minutes. Cool.
Okay.
We've been upgraded by Zoom.
However long we want it to be.
Okay, nice. That's good. That's actually very useful. Freddie, is it still recording?
It is still streaming to YouTube.
Is it still recording on your computer?
And also recording.
Okay, cool. So it's being saved because I don't know if the YouTube link is working.
I don't know
fine.
if what it's recording is what it's sending to YouTube. If so,
I'll do
it
it.
will be bad. But
it's fine. Sorry for it, everyone. Woo! Nice. Good round of applause.
Good rounds of applauses, and both were as half-hearted as the other.
Okay, awesome. Well, thanks for that. So I'll do a bit more and then introduce the next guest. Woo! I come from a long line of comedians, as well as rapists and murderers. And I was rooting around in my attic the other day, and I found some jokes written about the plague of 1348. So I thought I'd read out some of those, and we can sort of see if those are any good. I thought it was topical because we've got our own plague going on of a different sort. Cool. So this is what's the difference between the plague and my mother-in-law? The plague only causes 7 to 13 days of misery. I didn't say they were good comedians. I said they were just comedians. What did the priest say at the funeral of the 15-year-old who had died of plague? At least he lived a long life. I want to think sad. Why was Ratatouille not filmed in 1548? Because all of the rats would have given the chefs plague, and then everyone who consumed the food would also have died.
The only reason.
Exactly. What did the dentist... hang on. So a guy walks into a dentist office, and the dentist... and he says, dentist, I think I've got plaque. And the dentist says, no, you've got plague. Why did you come here? Go to a doctor. I can't help you. Really awful time. How do you stop your mother-in-law from getting the plague? You hit her with a rock. I might stop there with the 1348 jokes. Nice. I think Freddie's gone away from the location. Okay, so on that note, I'm going to introduce the next act. We once did a gig together where we had to perform in a restaurant to people who were speaking. So sometimes it's good to remember that this is actually relatively maybe a bit better than some gigs.
Significantly better.
It's Sam Williams, everybody. Woo!
Hi. Thank you very much for having me. I'm sat on the landing for Wi-Fi reasons. Anyone can just watch the loft to make sure that nothing demonic or sort of haunting comes out whilst I'm absolutely smashing this gig, that would be great. Thank you. This is the first gig I've done in my pants, which is a lot of fun. I'm not lazy. I'm just starting an OnlyFans after this and thought I'd double money. I'm not called Joe Williams. This is my dad's laptop. So that's that fact explained. God, it's going so well. I've got a common Welsh name, Sam Williams. It means username taken, which is why I'm called Joe Williams on this. I'm looking for love at this incredibly opportune time. I've grown out my hair. Yeah, it's free stuff. I made an effort. I've grown out my hair, pierced my ears. But now I look like my mum. One of her old flames lives near me. I know that because he stopped me in the Waitrose social distancing queue to say I haven't changed since the day I left it. For my dad. So that's been fun. I am using this lockdown to get super fit. What I do is I get straight out of bed, immediately go straight into sort of 10 press-ups to get the blood pumping. And then for cardio, I cry until I can't feel any pain. It's going pretty well. I've had to move home during this time, and I'm from a small town outside London called Maidenhead. And if Brighton is London-on-Sea, Maidenhead is a terrible place to live. The high street's filled with boarded up shops. I got a microphone. I don't know why I'm not putting that in the shop. I think film studies as well. I wouldn't know about that. That's more about sort of like my musicals. Sort of give you at least a mind boner, if not a real one. So that's let's get back to the material, shall we? Yeah, so the high street's filled with boarded up shops. We all complained. The council responded by just plastering pictures of open shops over the boards. Where we used to have a Waterstones, there is now a panoramic poster of what the town looked like when we had a Waterstones. If a door ever shut down Clark's, 9-foot tall school kids try on penny loafers forever. Such a badly. The third one is scenes of violence and disparities at Wetherspoons is still open, but that doesn't. It's the little things that remind you of what we once had. Come on. Okay, I'll tell you this. My favourite attraction in Maidenhead is the wishing fountain behind Lidl. For £1, you can throw a trolley in it. Pretty decent landmark. You can't do that in Trafalgar Square, can you? At least without handcuffs. I study in Brighton. I haven't lived there for about 4 weeks now, but that's where I was going to get my degree. Hopefully still will. I don't want to graduate from University in Brighton because I can't afford to live there with a loan, let alone when I'm released, into the wild, fending off thieves beneath the pier with a laminated drama diploma. I have a good time in Brighton. I live next to a preschool called the Fresh Start Nursery. What have these toddlers done to need rehabilitation before they can fucking walk? How am I supposed to sleep within crawling distance of some milk-toothed psychopath who's in there for 18 months, that's most of his life, for selling his dad to bankroll a Fortnite addiction? Cut that short there. Oh yeah, one good thing about leaving is obviously not living in rented accommodation for now. Like the last thing that happened at my my house in Brighton was that I had a carbon monoxide scare, and to make sure it never happened again, my landlord took the alarm away. I did reach a compromise with my landlord, though, that improved my living conditions. He replaced the carbon monoxide alarm with an eviction notice. So, a lot safer now. Thank you very much for having me speak. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you.
Woo! Woo! Let's start with these, everybody. Woo! I think your internet cut out slightly at the end there, but apart from that,
nice.
All fine. Yeah, we had like a carbon monoxide scare in our flat a while ago. There was like a gas leak in someone's room, and no one noticed for a couple of days, and we thought someone
Don't tell me that now.
but it was fine. Oh yeah, Chloe's thing. The second year, so that was we really kept that quiet. Awesome. So I think in these troubling times, it's probably worth some calming poetry for everyone. Just keep it going. And that's if I can find it in my book. I also don't have a microphone. Academy, maybe I should have done that. The closest thing I have is a candle.
Nice.
Well, I heard less of Sam once he picked up the microphone. So.
Probably for the best.
Okay, nice. Nice. Always a good sign. Okay. Wendy was a butterfly, but she couldn't fly. She buttered toast. She failed on every level. So she killed herself, and no one minded, especially those of us who love toast. Right, so that's a bit of poetry for you all. Might read out another one and then bring on the next act. Oedipus couldn't deny his sexual feelings for his mother any longer, so he changed his name and the thoughts went away. Anyway, I'll bring on the next act then. Oh, the day is lovely. Okay, so I'll bring on the next act. I can't remember what order I put everyone in. Hang on, 1 second. Sorry.
Oh, actually,
this is just like watching me at my computer. Kate?
No, I just wanted to do a joke about the cat, and she was in a good position, but she's moving now anyway, so who knows?
Yeah. Briefly, and it keeps moving around. The strange times. Okay, who did I say was next? I think I said Freddy was next, off the top of my head. Okay, Freddy, I'm going to put you next. Okay, so welcome, Freddy Aris. If you think your quarantine is going bad, he has to spend his entire quarantine in an attic. Because he isn't allowed to be in the area with the rest of his family.
Yeah!
You can change the thing onto you.
Yeah, this is the attic in which I live, and I also have a microphone. So there you go.
Nice.
Woo, go small microphones. So my what was I doing? Oh yeah, I've grown a bit of facial hair in over the quarantine. So I thought my opening joke would be, I was born with 3 eyebrows. I told that joke to my grandma, and she did not get it at all. And I was like, it's like an eyebrow, and she was like,
you're like, it's ready.
She just doesn't see it anymore. So that's what I've got at the moment. Eyebrows, highbrows. My parents are highbrows. We had lots of pets. A bit of association there for you. So we've had a lot of pets over the years. Some of them have survived. Most of them got to an old age. Many of them died young. Most of them died when they were babies. And on that account, I wish I were kidding, but I'm really not. Most of them died as babies. I'll give you an example. In Bangladesh, when we lived there, we had these 2 guinea pigs. They were called Search and Destroy. And then fun fact about guinea pigs. When a mother gives birth and doesn't recognize her babies, she eats them. So after we realised our guinea pigs were cannibals, we had to rename them Search and Destroy. I don't know if it's working. Is the Zoom call sorry, yes.
Yes.
There we go. So we named the Search and Destroy. And then the second one is that my little sister, she went to the pet shop and she got 2 female hamsters. And I should be using the mic, shouldn't I? She got 2 female hamsters. And obviously, after a week, one of the female hamsters was pregnant. Life finds a way. And in fact, the fun fact about hamsters, they don't care who their sister, brother, or great-grandfather is. They will have sex with whatever moves in that cage. And eventually, we had 18 hamsters. That's right, 18 hamsters. And you know, in a way, hamsters are a bit like the coronavirus because they multiply exponentially. And just like the coronavirus, Dettol does a remarkable job. So when we lived in Penang, we had an aquarium, so you know, with all the fish, and it ended in a bit of a catastrophe because my parents set it up that afternoon. They put the air purifier in, they put the water in, they put like the pebbles in, they put the bubble thing in, you know, that the fish in Finding Nemo goes crazy over, you know, like bubbles, one of those. And they left for the evening, and when they came back, all of the fish were all over the living room. They were jumping out of the aquarium onto the floor. And you know why? It was because the water was boiling. The water was boiling because they had set the heater wrong, and so all of the fish were jumping out of the water that they need to breathe in order to survive. So my mother actually burnt her hand trying to like pull the fish out. But you know, when you're gonna get poached, you got to jump. As Richard Hammond says, that's a total wipeout. Yeah, and then okay, so the first pet that I remember having was a rabbit, and I named the rabbit Freddy. I don't know if you can see the Zoom thing, but my name is Freddy Aris, so I actually named the rabbit after myself. And one day, Freddy wandered into the road and got run over by a car. And that was quite a strange phone call for my parents to have. Because whenever they were talking to people, they would say, "Oh yeah, Freddy's just wandered into the road. No, it's all right. He got hit by a car. Oh yeah, we've scraped him off the road and we've dumped him in a hole in the garden. You wanted to come to the funeral? Why? Freddy doesn't matter." Yeah, so that's just one of the ways the many pets that we have died. What was the other one? Oh yeah, when we went to Tanzania, there were these 2 dogs that came with the house because they were leaving the country, so they gave us these 2 dogs. And all of my life, I wanted a dog. I wanted a puppy. I wanted to play with it. You know, throw sticks, have a puppy. We arrived, and they were the oldest dogs you have ever seen. They would just lie in the sun and just drool. You know how much drool a dog can produce in 18 hours of drooling? We had to set up a drainage system on the patio because it was becoming a slip hazard. One of the dogs died the first year we were there, probably from losing so much fluid constantly, and we knew it was on its way out. It started shivering, and my dad went and got a blanket, wrapped it in the blanket, kept it nice and warm, and then it died. And then we dragged it in the blanket to the back garden to a hole, and then you know what? I gotta be honest. I did cry. I did cry looking down that hole because I liked that blanket. And, you know, it was nice. You could hug it. And when you felt lonely, you know, it was warm. And the fabric was really nice to touch. And if you ran your hand along it repetitively, it was quite calming. And the only thing was it wasn't very good at bringing sticks back. Then of course, there's my grandparents. And they're much better at keeping pets both alive and also naming them. So my grandma had this cat, and on the day it died, it was 21 years old. It was 21 years old. So my entire life, that cat died when I was 18. So all of my life, I've had this cat looking down on me with 3 years more knowledge of hunting mice than I do. And you know what? I'm trained to this day, and I will never succeed like that cat did. Yesterday, I caught a cat with one of my front paws, but it wasn't as good as the other one. So 21 years is a long time to be stared at by a wrinkly cat. And then finally, of course, there's my granddad's dog. And some of the people here already know this, but my granddad called his dog the best name ever for a dog, which was Brexit. So my granddad called the dog Brexit, and that means that whenever it's wandering around the house, he turns around and he goes, Brexit! Brexit, put that down! Brexit! Stop that, Brexit! Brexit! And then one time, this dog went missing. And so my granddad walked down the street, and he was just wandering down, and then he went there and he was shouting, Brexit! Brexit! Brexit, come back! Brexit! Here, Brexit! Brexit! Come back! Brexit! Here, Brexit! And eventually some people started following him, and they started going, Brexit! 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 And they weren't sure whether he was for or against Brexit, but they were joining in. Anyway, they helped him find his dog. And that's all the material I have this evening. So those are the pets that my family had over the years.
Yeah!
Freddy Aris, everyone!
Yeah!
I'm gonna bring it.
Nice. Nice one. I'm starting to regret letting you look after my cat, Freddy. But also, thank you for reminding us in this troubling time that animals often die, including baby animals. So that keeps us comforting. It's gotten considerably darker in the closet that I'm in somehow, even though I've got the same amount of candles. So it looks even more menacing than it did before. So I hope that's unsettled some people. Thought we might try doing some audience participation with the audience that we have. So do any audience members want to have a bit of a chat? Julia?
Yeah, I'm annoyed so much animal abuse material in front of my cat.
Yeah, not ideal.
Well, I mean, you don't have to bring your cat.
Yeah, very true.
A dog in the room, so I hope she's not hearing any of this. Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. Julia, how's your coronavirus thing getting on? A weird question. What have you been doing to pass the time?
Well, so like today they opened in Luxembourg. They opened like huge kind of like shops, kind of like construction shops, like I don't know, like Castorama. I don't know what kind of shops you have in England. Yes. And my mom was like, let's rebuild the house because I'm so bored. So we went and yeah.
Is your house missing like some rooms or missing like a large chunk of it?
No, it's all fine, but my mom wants to rebuild it anyway.
That's good. I was a bit worried that she'd like destroyed part of the house in order to rebuild it, just out of boredom through quarantine.
She just might, we don't know. We live in fear, basically.
Yeah. Sounds like you'd be quite terrifying with a hammer. One of my candles has gone out. A weird,
what are you doing?
A weird sentence. Yeah. I can't go and turn my light back on, so I might just introduce the next guest and then deal with my lack of light. The problem you often have in a stand-up thing. Oh my god, I'm terrifying. Okay, I'll introduce. I know, neither can I. I'll introduce the next guest whilst I try and gather some more light. Okay, so our next guest is the Earl of Kent. And that's all legal. So Hugh Hurley, everyone.
Yay!
Hello. Is everything fine? Good.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Sweet. Lovely. So I thought I'd start by showing a few fruits of my labours while I've been incarcerated. That's sort of canned fruit. I've got a poem, but I've done some art first. I don't know if you can see that. It's this postmodern
Ooh.
It's cat Jess. I've also got a poem which is an anagram of fume. So that's not the poem. Now Christopher Biggins clenched his fist, and the eyeballs of yet another eel shot across the room. A nice man by all accounts, except this one. It's not quite finished, but in between I'm probably going to say some sort of vaguely libelous stuff about Christopher Biggins again, but I haven't worked it out. It's very short notice. I've got a small bit of audience participation. The UN, her, what is it good for?
Absolutely nothing.
Well, it's a bit more nuanced than that, but I saw a squirrel digging a hole, and from a distance it looked like it was performing CPR on a worm. I've also made a list of everything that makes me angry, or not everything, but certain things that I've come to realise over the past week. So I'll begin. I've only ever used an abacus once. Flat caps. Those willing to abuse sea life. Genetics. BBC Sports presenter Jake Humphreys. And those big smooth cats that are in fields. I've also heard them called horses. I realise this anger stems from envy. I'm greatly envious of horses because very few of them have proper jobs, with the vast majority being horses of leisure, living off handouts. So even racehorses, they're in it for themselves as well. The Grand National is actually considerably less crueler when you learn that those taking part are secretly all masochists. So, although they're undoubtedly the most entitled animal, I think it's probably quite unfair to begrudge them for this, because after all, they did serve humanity for a good 2,000 years before the internal combustion engine came along and displaced them. At the time, of course, they were pretty miffed, but as I'm sure you would be. But their biggest issue was the whole thing was they couldn't work out where you put the apples in. So that's well, what's more ironic is that they knew this would all end in tears. The 1928 Grand National winner, Tipperary Tim, as well as being a sexual deviant, was. He was one of the earliest theorists warning of the dangers of rising temperatures. In his book, Climate Change Code Red, he writes that, and I'm quoting here, the human's excessive use, nay dependency, on fossil fuels will surely have a catastrophic effect on the future of the planet. And of course, he was right. So this seminal work, as I say, was formed as the solid foundation of a now prevalent school of thought within the horse community relating to climate science. And at the time, as I said, nobody listened to their impassioned cries until, of course, the prophecy was fulfilled. Now, much like astrologers, horses don't hate to say they told you so. So goes a long way to explain some of their inherent arrogance. I've got a little tangent, which is just horses back in medieval times. They were considerably less arrogant. As you may know, they were referred to as shire horses. Yeah. Anyway, to return back to the broader thesis, I don't think you can fault them for their arrogance. After all, they are doomed to extinction by a calamity they had no hand in creating. And while they wait for our collective demise. They'll look down on us from their ivory towers, which presumably would have to be fitted with some sort of lift, because of spiral staircases and hooves. So no go. But until then, they can continue to live carefree lives. Maybe go for a gallop till one day they might sort of snag their leg on a piece of barbed wire. But for them, then it's all over in an instant. I'd have probably greatly appreciated it if in year 3, when I fell over from the playground and grazed my knee, if the dinner lady had just come over and shot me in the back of the head. and I'm sure many other people would agree with me there. That's all I've got. So I've been Hugh Hurley, and it's just my internet connection is unstable, just like me. So thank you for having me.
Woo! That was Hugh Hurley, everyone. Woo!
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm not sure why I'm switching to you, Izzy. We can't see you.
I know. It's gotten really bad. And I'm debating whether I should bother going and turning the light on, or I kind of like this demonic vibe, so I might just leave it. And
Demonic as in invisible.
can you see me at all? I can see myself.
You look like you're in a Bohemian Rhapsody video.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I can't sing it very
good
well. I think it works well. I think it really seems like it does, you can't really tell where I end, and I blend into the darkness. It's definitely how I feel. So I like that.
Did you ever watch the show Trap?
Trap. Yes.
Yeah, you're like the mouse on Trap.
Oh, thank you. I thought you were going to say I was like the old guy with the
No.
This is an intriguing thing. If I hold the candle, there we go.
Yeah.
I blew it out. Oh no! Fuck. It's almost like this was a terrible idea. Okay, I'll just hold the candle there and try not to blow it out. Okay, it's fine. Thank you, everyone. We have one more act for you. Thanks for sticking around in this insane time. I'm going to read out one last thing of poetry, if I can find my book. I'll read out another poem, another couple poems, and then I'll introduce your last act. Nice. It really feels like something's going to creep up behind me. Okay. Fred could speak to the animals, but then all the animals found out that he was gay. And animals are all homophobic, so they refused to speak to him. Eventually, Fred started pretending he was straight around the animals, so they spoke to him again. But Fred felt like this was strange to lie to them. He couldn't really be himself anymore. So, yes, he was talking to the animals again, but were they really talking? I'll wait for you, Jessica promised. No matter what it takes, I'll wait for you right here. And she did. For 2 whole weeks, she waited for him, exactly in that spot. She shat herself 6 times. I'll read another one for you. I stared into his bulging eyes. Agony, pure agony, stared back at me. He knew he was about to die. I strengthened my vice-like grip around his neck. The man let out a breathless whimper before succumbing to the inevitable. His body went limp. And that's just a section from my autobiography that I'm writing in quarantine. So on that note, I'll introduce the last act. Last is a woman who once invited me to a concert at the O2. And then we went to the O2 Arena, and then we gave the tickets to the man, and he said, "You're at the wrong O2. We had to go to a different O2. It took a while. Caitlan Cassidy, everyone.
Woo! Thanks, guys. Yeah, this is the only live stream I've ever done while stroking my pussy. Actually, sorry, this is the only free live stream that I've done. My dating life since this whole nobody can go outside thing vastly improved. Oh my god, it's so great! You can just talk to people now. And before, I liked the talking to people part of like dating, but I really didn't like the part that if I met up with them, I might be like dismembered. Theoretically, it could happen. Nobody's ever been dismembered over Skype. So I honestly think it's a way better alternative. But no, and also Tinder has this thing now where you can just choose your location and you can be anywhere in the world. So instead of the like terrible, shitty people near your area, you can only swipe on like cool people 3,000 miles away in like LA, where everyone has like amazing photos and a six-pack. And honestly, what I need. And you know, honestly, Tinder's more of a sort of a nice photo gallery of people in my area than an actual dating site anyway. So it's nice to just confirm that with people I could never, ever meet in real life. More things I've learned during the lockdown. It's given me the time that I need to focus on the things that I'm really passionate about, the things that really matter to me. And I always thought that was, writing and learning about the world and like creative projects that have like a social message. It turns out I have two main passions, and they're sad books and videos of dogs in costumes. Those are my only two interests. I don't want to be a creative person and better the world. I want to look at a shit suit dressed as Thor and cry about two people's inability to communicate. When the comes in is before the quarantine, I had a third passion, which was imagining all the creative projects I could do if I just had more time. It turns out I'm more interested in imagining than in actually doing any of those things. The other thing quarantine's done is that it's taught me that I'm incredibly vain. I used to think I'd put makeup on for myself. Turns out that was a lie, because now nobody I'm not related to will ever see me. I don't fucking bother anymore. It's extremely feminist lies. I thought I was doing this to make myself feel better. Turns out I'm incredibly troubled by what other people might think of me. So I know that now, you know. It's good that I'm learning things about myself and about the world. But mainly what I've learned is I quite like being inside, but I'm very now much more afraid of dying alone than I was before. Thank you. I think that's all the material. But it is quarantine specific, so.
Woo, Caitlan Cassidy. Caitlan Cassidy, everyone. Well, thanks. So I've completely, hang on. I'll light a match so you can see me. Hang on, I'll light a candle so you can see me.
Izzy has been kidnapped. This is how she tells us.
It really seems like you're like in a war.
Yeah. I wanted that vibe. Yeah.
Is this? Do you know what? You're in a. You are fucking Anne Frank.
Thank you.
Meet the borrowers.
I said it like just something else. Yeah, well, I think also like this makes you feel like I can't go outside, but I can make the inside really weird, and so sort of the same thing. So thank you all for coming to this. I'm aware it was it was interesting. I'll give a big round of applause to all of the acts that we've had this evening. I can't hold the candle and clap. Hang on. Oh god. Chloe Foden. Woo! Williams. Woo! Freddy Aris. Woo! Hurley. Woo! And Caitlan Cassidy. Woo! I haven't forgotten.